Hey there, how's it going? I figured I'd make a video update about uh, pretty much everything that's been going on in my life. Um, I did make this once before, almost a month ago, but a couple things have changed, and also I wasn't intending to upload that one, so this one I think we'll upload though. I wanted to talk about pretty much everything. I feel like I don't think I need to explain any of this, but I want to because a lot has happened in the last few months, and I kind of want to catch y'all up. So I'll just kind of jump right into it. I think I can maybe start probably like October of last year. So I have had a few people ask me. It was mainly November of last year. Basically just checking in on me because I had kind of been talking about some stuff, but also I kind of went MIA for a little while. But also in October, I said that I was going to take a break from speedrunning. Didn't really know if I was going to quit or retire or anything. I really just didn't really know what to do. But I also said I was going to focus on doing casual stuff on stream. As you can see, that has changed. There are the initial idea I don't hate. It's just things changed. So in I'll say like July, August, September last year, that's when things started just kind of ramping up for me. I unfortunately had a friend cut me off for a very stupid reason, not even worth bringing up. And so that really hurt. And then I was summoned for jury duty, and that was a pain to deal with and have to worry about and plan for. I was able to get excused for it, thankfully, but I still had to deal with it, which sucked. And then on top of that, work was really stressful because I talked about this before. The video is deleted. So if you're looking for it, it's gone. I decided to remove it. But I mentioned that there was a problem at work where I basically was being blamed for something that wasn't my fault. I'll talk more about it later, but I was job hunting. My therapist that I had been seeing for 4 years unfortunately had to drop my insurance, so I had to find a new therapist. There was the big 2020, the 21st one, yeah, big 20 number 21 was going on at the time, so I was going ham at that. There was just too much happening at once. So that's why I had to drop the big 20 last time. I was able to do commentary, and I was able to help track in the background, track runners. So that was fun. I prefer racing, but that was fun. And it was a week after that big 20 when I did find a new therapist. I still see him today. And the other thing is that as I was job hunting, I did find a job that I applied for that actually got back to me. But there was just also a lot of other stuff going on where I was thinking about, okay, if I take this job, then I'm going to have to, deal with having to leave this job and all this stuff. I was doing the break where I wasn't doing speed runs, and I was still even kind of really not sure what I wanted to do. I was playing Hollow Knight Silk Song for YouTube, and that was fun. However, the views don't lie. It did not take off. A couple episodes did. But like it's there, but that's really it. It's just there. It was a fun game to play. I loved playing it. Second favorite game of last year, but it was just, I was in a really confusing spot. And I think it all just kind of started eating at me, or it was, but then it finally just kind of broke me. Last year, late October, I had an anxiety episode, I guess, where it felt like it was the general sense of, I think I'm letting everybody down, or, people expect me to do this and I can't do it. That kind of mindset. And it just kind of, like I said, it just kind of broke me at that point. I was, for about 2 weeks, I was not eating or barely eating. I had no energy to do anything. My brain was so focused on, you know, just stuff that I didn't need to be focused on. Too much was going on. I did not take that job that they actually got back to me on. And I can confirm today that I'm actually glad I didn't take it. I'll discuss that in a little bit. But it just, there was just too much happening at once, and I was pushing myself too much, where I was too worried about 20 different things, trying to do it all, and I wasn't taking time for myself to do anything I really wanted. I wanted to play casual games on stream, but one, I was struggling to find the time for it because I was trying to juggle too much. But two, I just have this general sense that people, they like a casual playthrough once in a while from me, or they like it when I kind of, take it easy for a bit. But most people watch me for speed runs, which is fine. I don't blame anybody. It's just, I'd rather be known as, the guy who speed runs a whole bunch of stuff versus, he speedruns one game or whatever. That was a issue back in 2015, but that's 11 years ago. I'm old. So I kind of want to hit a few different points. So like I said, I was barely eating. I lost a lot of weight, for me at least, last year. And I did talk to my new therapist about it. And what's good about him is that the questions he asks and the way he does therapy is not like what I'm used to. It is a lot more involved, which, again, I'm not used to that. And I think that was kind of the key to this. I thought that by me leaving my last therapist, I thought the next chapter was, okay, now when I get a new job, how am I going to navigate that, etc. What it really was I needed to get a new therapist in order to realize that there's still things about me that I don't get, that I need help with. There were two main things that came up. One, my family kind of noticed. And two, my therapist pointed out. They're kind of connected, though. I notice that I have a tendency to overshare things. And this is different from when I was a kid, because as a kid, I would undershare. I wouldn't talk about anything. But now I kind of have a tendency to overshare. I don't mind discussing my anxiety or anything. In fact, it was me opening up about it that got me to therapy and got me to not be somebody I didn't want to be. 2017, early 2018, that was probably the worst time of my life. And I finally started making progress on myself. I would tell people in the past, I'm just going to work on myself, etc. But I truly have been doing that the last few years. But I also noticed that sometimes I share too much about myself. So it's not that I don't mind sharing stuff about me, but I also understand that sometimes when I share stuff, it's not that I can't share it. It's just, it's either not the time, or I am overstepping boundaries that I should be setting boundaries better, and I don't do that. So then people can take advantage of that, or they get the wrong impression of me, etc. There was a friend I had, former friend, 2022. I had to cut her off because I felt like I was being emotionally manipulated. And it's because I was sharing stuff and I didn't mind. But I do mind it when people take advantage of that and try to, you know, use that. So, when I was doing interviews at this potential job place, there were things that sounded good, but then there were things that didn't sound good. But I thought I just had to, okay, I just have to take it because if I say I don't like this, then they're not going to hire me, etc. I was thinking about the wrong thing at the time, basically. But they also liked me and they also thought I would have been a good fit. But this is something that took me a long time to kind of understand. Just because somebody says I'm a good fit for something, what matters is, am I a good fit for it? I know myself better than they know me. Well, I should. I should know better. And, I thought there was a lot of guilt I was feeling. And there was a lot of, again, just feeling like I'm letting everybody down or that I'm not enough, I guess. But people were saying it's like, but this is up to you. This isn't up to us. We might have an opinion on this and we might think it's good for you, but if you don't think it's good for you, that's you get the final say. So that kind of took me a while to kind of wrap my head around. And this kind of wraps into the second point. The second thing I learned recently is that during my anxiety episode, I logically understood where I was at. I logically could understand where my head was at, what I was thinking. I could logically pick out, yeah, that's not true. Or this is how I'm feeling. Or, this is what my brain keeps thinking. Even though it's not true, my brain keeps thinking it. And essentially, what we've come to the conclusion is that my logical side of my brain, or my logical side of the anxiety, is intact. It's all there. That's the progress we've been making. The emotional side of how I process things is completely out of whack. When I'm faced with something that activates my anxiety, I immediately crumble. Immediately. Or I struggle to get back to where I was, or I struggle to calm down the emotional side so that my logical side takes over and understands where we're at. And that is something that I guess I never really thought about before. I never really thought about it as like emotion versus logic. I can be an emotional person. I think that I don't show emotion a whole lot, but I can be emotional. I don't get emotional in the sense of like crying all the time or anything. But I do get emotional in the sense that, again, if I'm challenged at something or if I struggle to do something or if I feel like I'm letting people down, I beat myself up over it, which I know I can't do. Logically, I know that, but again, emotionally is where things start to fall apart. Because, the emotions were running so high for me, the emotions of, anger, guilt, sadness, whatever, those were running rampant. And then my logical side, I couldn't hear it. So that was kind of the issue. Thankfully, my therapist and I have been working on that. And again, it is very different how I do therapy with him versus how therapy was with my 3 previous therapists. But yeah, there was just a lot going on at once. And then it finally just broke me. It finally got to the point where I could not take it. And the worst part was I kept thinking that I had to take it or I had to deal with it. But, yeah, it's just it was not a good time in my life, but everybody has times that are not good in their lives. I'm gonna have more. So I guess I can transition from that into the good news of everything that's been going on. So after my anxiety episode, I my therapist and I had a very concrete plan of how do we deal with this, and we dealt with the emotions. How do I process the emotions? Because again, logically, everything's intact, but currently, what we're doing is when it comes to how I process things emotionally, that's what we're working on. And the other good news, I guess, is that at some point, I don't remember when, it might have been like as I was starting to kind of pull myself out of the episode, I got onto the topic. I talked to my manager at work or my boss at work, and I work remotely, so this is where I work right here. So I work online. I'm an administrative assistant at a writing/marketing company. So I emailed my boss with some stuff, and it was on the topic of talking to. So basically, what I was criticized for was I didn't talk to a client correctly, or like didn't I didn't do it right, if you want to go there. So I talked to them basically how I would talk to somebody casually, or how I would talk to somebody, who's at my company. I didn't like take my time and truly make sure that I was doing everything correctly, etc. And I was basically criticized for that, but I emailed my boss about it at one point, and I said I'm trying to take my time on it, etc. Sorry about that. I'm trying to work on it, and the entire situation ended up being what the TikTok kids call a nothing burger, because she said, "Oh no, it's not your fault. Like, we also realize that you're not trained for that. You're not the sales guy. Like, we understand that. We can teach you that, but no, we understand that we made a mistake too. But we do just want to make sure that you have that heads up and just make sure you take your time on that." And they said, we're glad we have you at this company. You're the only person who does administrative tasks all day. It's like, we're glad we have you and everything. So it ended up just being completely nothing. But it was that one email at first that made me just want to quit and just do another job. Again, an emotional reaction. I was reacting emotionally to something instead of reacting with logic and with, I don't want to say calmness, but I guess we can go there. I was reacting emotionally to that. And when I think about past things that I've had problems with, I do tend to react emotionally when I am threatened or when I'm anxious, etc. So, early in my Twitch days, when people would tell me, when are you going to get this time, even though you just PB'd by 20 minutes, I would react emotionally, and I would react with, like, passive aggressive, condescending remarks. Sometimes I still do that, depends, but I like to think that I've cut down on that a lot. But also, I know who to hang out with now. What I was feeling back then is valid, and what happened is valid, but I definitely could have done something different about it. It's not, I can't sit there and just say that everything is always their fault and never mine. I can't. There are things I could have done differently, but that was 11 years ago. I'm in 2026 right now. I'm almost 30. When I started Twitch, I was a stupid college kid. So yeah, anyways, work has been going well. I'm still at my job. It'll be 4 years in September I've been with this company, and I just got a raise recently. So that's been a big help. It just I like it when I'm told that I'm valuable and I can prove that I'm valuable. that was something I was having problems with, was that during my anxiety episode, I could logically tell you what is good about my life and what's valuable, but I couldn't do that when I was emotional. And that's what we're working on. I'm not saying I can't be emotional. It's just, again, anytime I'm faced with a problem, sometimes I get emotional about it. Not sadness, but just, I don't think straight, is what I'm getting at. So about my stream, the reason I canceled the casual playthroughs of stuff is that I noticed this for a while, but I finally decided to do something about it. I was planning everything. I was planning every stream, planning everything I wanted to do, or anytime I couldn't stream, I was saying, okay, I can't stream tonight because I'm working or whatever. I was constantly planning everything. Constantly saying, okay, after this event's over, I'm going to do this, or after I do this, I'm going to start doing this. And I would get to that point where it would be time to do the next thing, and then I didn't want to do it. I wanted to do something else, or at the very least, I didn't want to do it yet. I just didn't want to start it yet. And I kind of just realized I was making so many plans for stuff and not doing all of them. I would do some, but then it got too messy. It got too messy. But I was also kind of thinking, I am not like a Let's Player or anything. I don't really talk a whole lot. I don't talk every single thought out when I'm playing a game. I don't. When I'm playing a game casually, offline, I'm not talking at all. I'm not. Doesn't mean I'm not feeling things, or doesn't mean I'm not, excited about something I'm doing. It just, I'm not reacting, like, physically. Up here, it's working, but, yeah, I'm not a Let's Player. I'm not a try to be entertaining person. I'm not. If you think I'm entertaining, that's fine. It's just, I don't see it that way. And I guess I just finally caved, and I'm just like, you know what? Like, it's been about 2 months at the time it was. I was like, it's been about 2 months. I don't want to sit here and just do all this casual stuff when this isn't what I do. And, it's not that I hate speedrunning or anything. It's just, I really was confused on what I wanted to do next. I didn't know what was going on in my life. Too much was going on in my life. I couldn't think. So I decided to just go back to speedruns. Don't explain it. Because I was practicing oversharing. Don't even bother. Don't. I would have made a 45-minute video about this defending myself. I don't need to. Technically, I don't have to make this video, but I want to. And that's another component, is what do I want to do? What do I want to do? It's my free time. What do I want to do? And I think that has been a huge help, because I've been doing things lately that I genuinely had passion and wanted to do. I'm recording this 2 days after Big 20 number 22. I tied for 6th place in my favorite list ever. And I did not approach the Big 20 how I usually approach events. I was not planning out practice. I was not pushing myself through practice or saying, if I don't practice, I'm going to be behind, that kind of thing. If I wanted to practice, I practiced. But then there were nights where I also went and did jigsaw puzzles, or I would play Clair Obscur some more. Like, I took time for myself still. And I still pulled off 6th place as a tie. I think what was going on was just way too much. There was just so much noise, and I had no idea how to get through it all. And it sucks that it took my anxiety episode to kind of wake me up and kind of get me to start making changes. But at the same time, I'm grateful for that, because it helped me understand what really are my problems. What am I dealing with now? What used to be a problem but's going well now? And what wasn't a problem, but what are we dealing with now that's an issue? I think I covered everything I wanted to talk about. But yeah, just simply put, I am trying to focus on what I want to do, because life is short. And I am trying to work on not being so emotional all the time. Obviously, I'm still going to be here and there. I still will. Everybody will. But I am also trying to focus more on listening to the logical side of my brain. And, you know, I didn't even talk about every single little facet about how I've been doing everything on purpose. I'm trying not to share too much. You could argue I have, but to me, I haven't. You know, it's unfortunate that a lot of like negative events culminated in what happened and me going MIA and me, you know, struggling to just feel normal again for 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks. But at the same time, we're past that, and I'm feeling all right. So again, I'm gonna have bad days still. Everybody will, but this was sort of a wake up call for me to be like, okay, I've got some shit to deal with. So, I think I've talked about everything that I need to talk about. Obviously, if I forget something, I'll share it. But yeah, that kind of sums up how has everything been. Because I know there were a few people who reached out to me, which I thank you for that. And they just kind of wanted me to catch up. Just, you know, I was talking about some things and I mentioned that I was MIA and people just wanted to know how I was doing. Well, I hope I've answered that question. I'm working on stuff, but I'm doing all right. So if you don't see videos on YouTube constantly of me doing speedruns, that's because, simply put, I just didn't want to do them. Or I didn't have any speedruns to do. I'm doing something else. I will say, as of me recording this, the next thing I want to do is I want to learn a new speedrun, but I want to learn a modern game. Because it's not that I all of a sudden want to do modern games all the time. It's just, it's nice to mix things up here and there. It's funny, at the start of my speedrun career, I was running more modern games than I was running old games, but that has changed now. So, but yeah, and then we go from there. I am going to be doing a casual playthrough of a game for sure, and then another game maybe, because it's short enough. And then I go into speedruns again. So, I'm not trying to plan anything. I'm just kind of, what do I feel like doing? What do I want to do? And if you remember that video where I showed all those games that I wanted to play on stream casually, I still want to do those, but we're not going to do them all like in a row consecutively, like all the time. Like we're not going to do that. It's when I want to do it. But all those games you saw, and they're on the casual stuff. If you go to my Twitch stream, I have a whole list of casual stuff I want to play. They're all on there. All of them are on there. And for 50,000 channel points, you can redeem it. So, anyways, I think now for sure I've talked about everything. So I'll upload this video just so that you guys can listen to it, I guess. Or I guess you already have listened to it. What am I talking about? Okay, I don't want to make this more than 30 minutes. So, thanks for all the support. I appreciate it. I know that I am a super small channel, and I know that I've been doing this for 11 years, and, you know, I have affiliate on Twitch and everything, but, you know, I don't do this for money. I don't do this to try to be famous or anything. I do this because I just want to. I want to. This is how I like to pass the time. I like playing video games, and I like showing that it's okay to speedrun whatever the hell you want. So, yeah. Anyways, I'm going to get going. I appreciate all the support, and I'm not going anywhere. So, all right. Take care. Bye-bye.